everybody. Welcome back to Harley on the Headlines. I am Harley Carnes, and there are more good things to talk about today. As we get started, quick reminder that if you have not yet, please help spread the word with us. Hit the like, subscribe, follow buttons. I sure would appreciate it. And now, as they say to cases, the Senate is on the verge of ending the government shutdown. As has always been the case, the shutdown is in the hands of Democrats, and a few of them are ready to go back to work, evidently. Now, here is what has been happening in simple language. The Trump administration, partly through DOJ and partly through the work of Republicans in the House primarily, found at least $1.5 trillion of spending that needs to be saved. If they can get it done, it'll do a lot toward reining in the deficit, which feeds the national debt to the tune of more than $1 trillion every year. Democrats do not want to stop spending and wasting that money. Not on Obamacare, not on health care for illegals, not any of it. And the far-left progressive wing has become loud enough and insistent enough to have Chuck Schumer and the rest of the power base running scared. So they refuse to extend the old budget until January to give time to negotiate a new one. That's the shutdown in a nutshell. Democrats demanded that all that spending be put back into the budget before they negotiate. And when the GOP and President Trump refused, because what would be the point of trying to rein in spending if they did, Democrats tried to force them by holding the paychecks for government workers and many other things hostage, and tried to blame Trump and the GOP for that. It takes a very gullible person to buy into that, or a liberal so partisan in thought and political intent that they are drunk on the Kool-Aid and blinded to the truth. Some of the Democrats who actually do live closer to the middle have gone along to get along with their party, but now even they've had enough because their constituents have had more than enough. Those Democrats have worked out a compromise. They don't get an extension of Obamacare, but federal workers who were fired because of the shutdown will get their jobs back, at least temporarily, with back pay. Now keep in mind, none of this means a budget will be passed by the end of the year. They could reach the end of the year and look for another extension. Will someone at the top of the Democrat Party with half a brain, which evidently leaves Chuck Schumer out, please tell the wacko socialists on the far left to stick a sock in it and rejoin the rest of the nation? The Supreme Court has again ruled same-sex marriage is marriage. It's legal in these United States. There had been a plea from Kentucky to reverse the 2015 legalization from a court clerk who refused to issue same-sex licenses to marry on personal religious grounds, and had lost a lawsuit from a gay couple over it. President Trump has issued a pardon for Rudy Giuliani in the 2020 election recount case. Giuliani tried and failed to force in court forensics recounts of votes in the 2020 election in some key battleground states. The Biden administration accused him of trying to subvert the election and won in friendly federal courtrooms. Right or wrong, President Trump is saying his attorneys had the right to try to make sure each and every vote was properly counted and that fraudulent votes were rejected. It's a full, complete, and unconditional pardon for any federal charges or convictions for Rudy Giuliani and a bunch of other people. Any state efforts to go after Giuliani are predicted to wither on the vine now. It is distinctly not cool for any journalist to edit the comments or a speech of someone they're covering to make it sound like they're saying something they're not, or to remove the intended context in favor of something a partisan reporter or news organization might like better. We all understand that. President Trump has sent the BBC a letter threatening legal action over editing his speech that way. An unlikely visitor to the White House today, Syria's President Ahmad al-Sharaa. It is historic for a number of reasons. The last time a Syrian president visited the White House was 1946, and al-Sharaa was once al-Qaeda and languished in a detention center, in other words, a prison, in Iraq during the war. He quit al-Qaeda years ago and fought to oppose and ultimately topple Syria's President Bashar al-Assad. Now, he's the president and has such a good rapport with the U.S. that al-Sharaa is approving U.S. forces on the air base in Damascus. One thing about Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis, he does not hesitate to do some big stuff. He's killing two big and important birds with one stone. One, he's worked out a fix for much of Palm Beach County's routine flooding when heavy rains, hurricanes, or other flowing situations happen. And he's going to help restore the Everglades, which have been drying up because of construction and other human ham-fistedness. Sometimes we have polluted it to a fare thee well unintentionally. Instead of pumping floodwaters into the St. Lucie and Caloosahatchee rivers, which creates big problems downstream, he's announced plans for a new pumping station to move 3 billion gallons of water a day into a new reservoir feeding the Glades. It'll be a reservoir larger than the island of Manhattan, and as he quipped, a lot safer too. And with the new $3 billion system, instead of sending nutrient-rich and therefore algae-producing waters toward the coast, where it hurts communities and the Glades, it'll send clean water to feed and help restore the Everglades. Still waiting for the Guinness World Records folks to certify it, but it appears a Minnesota man named James Clark has set a new record for eating a 130-gram cone of ice cream. That's roughly 2 scoops. He did it in Ireland at a famous ice cream shop. Ate the whole thing in just under 24 3/4 seconds. Can you spell brain freeze? Well, that's it for today. I want to thank you very much for joining us for Harley on the Headlines. I appreciate you for it, and I hope you'll let some others know about it. Hit follow, like, and subscribe. It makes a difference. Helps keep the little red lights on. I'm Harley Carnes. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.